Joining us once again on the Goldberg, New and Abraham Law Firm hotline is our friend Seth Everett. He, too, with his own Twitch TV channel. Follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. His podcasts, hopefully you download them by now, Sports with Friends and or Hall of Justice. Seth, how's the family and you this week?
Well, everybody's okay. We had a little bit of an incident where we thought we might have been exposed, but everybody's good and everybody's healthy. So we're
Great.
bunkering down and taking it very seriously.
How's your neighbor?
Neighbor is recovering very well.
Good.
He's been outside, and he has been playing catch with his little boy. So that's a good sign.
That is an absolute great sign. For those that don't know, Seth let us know last week his neighbor across the street contracted the coronavirus. That was the nature
Correct.
of my question.
But I will tell you, we had an incident where I'll just show you an example of how there are people in this world, and there's a person who lives around the corner from me who doesn't respect social distancing. And it's very obvious, and everybody in this area does, except for this one person. And I flipped out. I screamed at her, and I don't scream at anybody. I never yell at people. This person was walking a dog, and they were on the opposite side of the street, and I was walking my dog. And it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, around this time, and the dog started coming toward me, which is totally natural. But the woman kept coming. And I said, stop. And I said, at first I was really nice. I was like, excuse me, ma'am, what are you doing? And she kept going, and then the dogs got intertwined with each other to the extent of their leashes got tangled. And now I have to go down because, they have said coronavirus can't be transmitted from animals, but it can be on surfaces, including leashes and collars. And I said, oh, my God, now, and none of these dogs are getting groomed, so their coats are really, really long, so they could carry it. And we've been told that countless times. And I dove down, and I grabbed this other dog, some strange dog, which I found out his name is Marshmallow. If I ever see this Marshmallow, I'm going to roast him. And I had to unhook them to untangle them. And the woman just stood there, like, what are you doing? And I said, ma'am, I have been doing social distancing for 5 weeks now. I am not getting coronavirus because of your idiocy. And I screamed at them. And what happened as a result is the other dog, I lost my headphones in the melee. And I couldn't find them because I think what happened is my headphones got hooked on to the other dog, and he walked away.
What's the dog listening to now?
Those are my work headphones. And,
what is the dog listening to? Prince?
Right.
No, I was listening to a podcast. Not my own. Because I don't listen to my own.
Good.
I download my own because I got to support the team. But
I understand, Seth. That I understand. I'm trying to teach someone else in this conversation about downloading our podcast every day. But I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I download yours. I even download the segments I'm on, and I don't listen to those either.
And I don't blame you for that. All right, Seth.
Because we heard them already.
We just had Mike Oresco on from the American Athletic Conference. And yesterday there was talk, and they basically have asked for some leniency from the NCAA on a lot of different issues. But it's the first thing we've seen of maybe sports going away. Cincinnati canceled their men's soccer program. Now, they're saying they may have done that without coronavirus. But, Seth, whether it's minor league baseball, whether it's low-level college, we are now starting to see the effects in the sports world. And this is what I've been talking about for a while, because I'm a guy that cut my teeth in the minors, as did you. I think this is the area that we're not going to hear a whole lot about, but I think could really change the complexion of all of our sports, because I think the minor leagues are going to be completely different when we come out of this. Do you?
Well, considering that before this whole epidemic, the MLB was trying to contract about 50 teams anyway. And so you can't ask MLB to subsidize these teams, even though that's who really we should be looking at. They're still $1 billion industry. And even though they're not making any revenue this year, I don't feel for them like I feel for the restaurant owner or the movie theater owner, people like that. I get the sense that baseball's not willing to help. Baseball wants to spend a gob of money on trying to get this antibody test, which is admirable, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not benevolence that is getting them to do it. They're trying to do it because if they feel that they can get an antibody test, they will try to jumpstart their season. I thought Zach Wheeler was the guy, and I talked to Zach for just over text, but I heard his interview with a Philadelphia station where he said that under normal circumstances he would travel with the team and leave to be with his daughter as per the collective bargaining agreement and have a 4-day paternity leave. And he said in a pandemic, I am not leaving her. I'm not leaving her in a coronavirus situation to have a child and go to a hospital. There's no way. And Zach Wheeler said, take my money. It's not about that. I am not leaving.
So hold on. So Seth, Zach Wheeler, who's now a pitcher with the Phillies, Zach Wheeler basically said he won't play if baseball's going to try to start up.
Not until his kid is born. Not until his kid is born. And
okay. Well, hold on. Hold on. When's his child due?
I don't know. I don't know the exact date.
So well, and that's interesting though because that is one of the elements here. Gotcha. but all these leagues are trying to figure out a plan to start back up, and it's only been glossed over. Well, what if a player raises their hand and says, "Yeah, I'm not.
I don't want to do it."
Now,
right.
And my feeling is, not to be cold, it's kind of like Miller and Moulton here. If we don't want to do it, they'll go find somebody else look just like us. Then, do it. And I think it's the same way. If Zach Wheeler doesn't want to go, I respect that. You don't get paid, and we'll put another guy in the rotation. I don't have a problem with that if I'm baseball, if I'm, in fact, coming up with a plan to start back up. What do you think of the Arizona-Florida idea?
What if it's 5 guys from each team?
Well, then it's 5 guys.
No, actually, I disagree. I think that what there has to be is there has to be some kind of solidarity, and I think the bigger thing has to be is what is baseball going to do to police the players to make sure that the second baseman on the Brewers, I'm just throwing out a random team, doesn't want to say, you know what, I need cash. I'm going to just run out to the ATM on the corner by the hotel, and I'm not wearing gloves, and I push the buttons, and now I've contracted. And people have said to me, well, it's not that rampant in Phoenix. Right, but if you put 1,000 MLB personnel there, it just became rampant. Because everyone there, you don't know where everybody's been, and I bring the babysitter back up because I trust my babysitter completely. She's been in our family for 8 years. We adore her. And my kids love her. And we don't know every minute that she has been spending. We don't know what she's done. Did she do the ATM thing? Did she go to the gas station?
Seth, I understand with your family. But if you're Major League Baseball, if you're going to play, there is risk involved. When we leave our house,
you're missing the final point. No, you cut me off. Here's the point. If that happens, and let's say second baseman Brewers gets contracted,
right,
and then he's in the clubhouse the next day, 6 members of the Brewers,
maybe,
and now all of a sudden you're shut down again.
Maybe,
or
maybe not.
But that's the Brooklyn Nets. But the Brooklyn Nets are the perfect example of that.
Seth, we asked this question, or we said anyway a week or so ago, these leagues have to answer this question before they move forward. What are they going to do when somebody contracts it? Because somebody's going to. If baseball isolates in Arizona and Florida and they start back up, at some point, someone is going to contract it. What do you do?
Which is why they can't do it. They can't do it.
But Seth, then that means we stay in our homes for a year.
And that's not going to happen, Seth. I know what you think, Seth, and I know what you want, but you have to at least understand that that's not what everybody wants, and it doesn't seem to be going that way. I get it if you were running sports, that's how you do it. But don't you at least agree that it's not going that way?
It's not a question of that. I will not step foot in New York City until I see it look like New York City again.
And Seth, that's Seth Everett.
And I'm 25 minutes away.
Seth, that's Seth Everett, though. but don't you at least acknowledge that all of these leagues seem to be moving forward? While you may not want them to, they all look like they are. Well,
They're trying to.
Right.
They're
They are.
I don't see it. And a lot of the players that I talked to a Donald Foyle yesterday, and the reality of it is players have checked out. They're not in that mindset, and a lot has to happen in terms of testing. We are not there yet. We're not at the place where the testing exists. And have we flattened the curves in that they're not building more temporary hospitals? Yeah. Did you see the windstorm on Monday and how they almost had to take down the Central Park temporary thing?
Yeah, but Seth, once again,
sport are we starting?
Seth, they're not going to start up sports in New York. All right. I mean, that's pretty obvious. They're not going to start up sports in New York for quite a while. All right.
And what do you say to the 600,000 people in Alabama that went to work yesterday?
Well,
are we flattening the curve, or are we half flattening the curve?
Well, I mean, Seth, there's really only two options. We stay at home till we get a vaccine, or we try to figure out the best way with the lowest risk to move forward. And clearly, with the money involved in these sports leagues, baseball's an $11 billion annual industry.
Of course,
they're not going to sit home.
What baseball needs to do is come up with a proper policing policy, and the union has to go along with it, so that these players they have to go in quarantine for at least 2 weeks once they get to Arizona.
Okay.
And then they have to make sure that these players go literally from a hotel to a ballpark. And from a ballpark, and by the way, in 120-degree heat. They have to go to the ballpark, and then they have to go, when they're done, they have to go right back to the hotel. And that's how they have to do it, and they have to do that for 1,000 people.
No, and I
try policing that. All I'm saying is try policing that, and if you know the amount of personnel it can, and if you know the immaturity of Major League Baseball players,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And
all
Seth,
I'm saying is it is just a matter of time before the Brooklyn Nets happen, because the Brooklyn Nets, and I did a podcast with Ryan Rucco. I'll tease it real quick. Ryan Rucco called the Nuggets-Mavericks game the night that sports got suspended.
Right.
And he was in the midst. And his broadcast partner has coronavirus, Doris Burke. And he was in this whole situation. And he found out he may have contracted it. He may have given it to Doris Burke, because he's the backup play-by-play announcer for the Brooklyn Nets. And the Brooklyn Nets wanted to have workouts when all of this was going on, even though everybody was talking about, taking fans out of the stands and letting the media not come in the locker room, and 4 members of the Brooklyn Nets. And he said the Brooklyn Nets called him, and immediately they all went in quarantine. All it takes is one guy. All it takes is one guy on the Padres. And all I'm telling you is they kind of shut it down again. And look what happened in South Korea, not North Korea, in South Korea. And look what happened in Syria. They've tried to jumpstart these leagues, and it backfired.
Okay. We have 30 seconds. All right.
Ryan Rucco.
That's funny. All right, that's Sports with Friends. So how about Hall of Justice?
The great Carrie Walgren, but a big announcement. Filmmaker Kevin Smith next week on the Hall of Justice.
Awesome. Very jealous.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Very jealous. Dogma is my favorite movie of all time.
And Kevin, which one?
Dogma. As someone who graduated from a Catholic high school, Seth, it's like Miss Maisel to you. Dogma is just gold to a kid that went to a Catholic high school.
And when I asked him if there was anything he wanted to talk about, he wants to do a separate podcast on hockey. He said, because none of my friends can talk hockey. And so he's going to be on Hall of Justice next week, and the week after he's going to be on Sports with Friends talking hockey.
Oh, great. I'm incredibly jealous. You can pass him along to us for either one of those talks for 3 or 4 minutes. That is awesome. Yeah. Cannot wait to download. Seth, stay safe.
Yes.
Try to keep the dog on a shorter leash from this point forward.
Yeah,
Right.
you think? Oh, if I see Marshmallow, I'm telling you, I will hunt him down.
It's going to be s'mores, huh?
Right. Bum. Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, or the podcast. He does the show every day on Twitch TV as well. Follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, be safe. Be well.